Karma is real, based on my real-life experience. Around 3 years ago, I had a suitor who was the CEO of a successful, though not well-known call center company in Cebu. He also owned a club, a restaurant, and a dance studio. This is how we met. I was at the gym around AM doing my workout when one of the guys approached me. He was extremely good-looking, tall, handsome, very clean-looking, and had a great gym physique. He started talking to me, complimented me, and asked if he could have my Facebook. I gave it to him without hesitation. When I got home, he added me on Facebook and we started casually chatting. The very next day, another stranger added me and messaged me, saying I was beautiful. I replied, "How do you know me?" He told me that he saw me talking to Jay, his employee at the gym, and asked if we were dating. I told him no because we had literally just met the day before. To make a long story short, while Jay was asking me out on a date, I also started talking to D, who turned out to be the CEO. I was basically observing how both of them treated me. D was very interested in meeting me. Coincidentally, he also owned the gym I was going to. He kept asking what time I usually worked out, but I never told him. After weeks of talking, I finally agreed to have dinner with him. He took me to one of the most expensive restaurants in Cebu and even booked a private room just for the two of us. He sent his driver and assistant to pick me up from my apartment. For context, I'm a born-again Christian. I'm not extremely conservative, but I stand firmly by my beliefs, values, and morals. During dinner, we had a casual conversation. He told me I was even more beautiful in person than in my photos. He asked if I was still studying, and I told him yes. I also mentioned that I was living in an apartment with friends. Almost immediately, he offered me one of his condominiums. He also noticed I didn't own a car and offered to buy me one. Then he offered to pay my entire college tuition by giving me a check covering all the remaining years of my education. In exchange, he wanted me to become his girlfriend. I respectfully declined every offer. To be honest, it sounded like an amazing offer, but it was only our first date. I barely knew him, and I knew nothing about him or his businesses. Deep inside, it felt like he was trying to buy me. He simply smiled and said, "Think about it. Maybe next time." We went home separately. Later that night, he messaged me again and offered me $1,000 if I would sleep with him. I immediately replied, no explanation. Just no. A few days later, he invited me out again. This time he toured me around all of his businesses, his call center, restaurant, bars, and dance studio. During that second date, I met one of his most trusted employees, Sir S. He was gay, incredibly friendly, and very kind. He smiled at me and said, "I don't blame Sir D for always talking about you. You're even more stunning in person." I simply thanked him. Ironically, D and I barely talked that day because he was busy speaking with his employees. Most of my conversations were actually with Sir S. Toward the end of the evening, D suddenly asked me about my faith. I answered simply, "I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior." Then he looked at me and said, "Don't bring your Jesus here because I don't need your Jesus." I was completely stunned. That single sentence deeply disappointed me. It wasn't just that he disagreed with me. It felt like he mocked my Lord right in front of my face. That was the biggest turnoff for me. After dinner, I politely asked if I could go home. D wanted me to stay, but Sir S noticed how uncomfortable I had become. He told D, "She's probably tired. I'll drive her home." On the drive home, Sir S and I talked. I told him, this is probably the last time I'm ever going out with him. He simply nodded and said, "I understand." Before dropping me off, Sir S asked for my Facebook. I meant what I said. D continued messaging me afterward, asking to see me again. I kept saying no. Eventually, I stopped replying and left his messages unread because I'm the kind of woman who doesn't hesitate to walk away once I notice serious red flags. I'd rather lose a good opportunity than ignore warning signs that could lead to bigger consequences later. Fast forward, 2 years later, Sir S reached out and asked if we could meet. That was when I finally learned the truth. According to him, D's call center was actually operating as a scam. Since Sir S handled the accounting and was D's most trusted employee, he knew everything. The call center alone was reportedly earning around $21 million every week. But eventually, greed took over. D stopped paying his employees. People began resigning one by one. The company slowly collapsed until everything fell apart. His cars, properties, and businesses were all taken from him. Suresh also told me that after me, D got involved with a half American, half Filipino woman who allegedly took a significant amount of his money. I honestly sat there thinking, this sounds like something that only happens in movies. The strangest part was that according to Sir S, around the time everything started falling apart, D began acting very differently. He would randomly claim that he was a god, and he started praying to Chinese statues. Today, from what I was told, he's now working as a regular employee and no longer has the wealth or businesses he once had. I'm not saying this happened because I rejected him, and I can't know exactly why his life unfolded the way it did. But looking back, I'm grateful I trusted my convictions instead of being blinded by money, luxury, or status. Sometimes walking away from something that looks attractive on the surface ends up protecting you from things you couldn't see at the time.